Welcome to the enchanting world of the Never Cross a Witch Bitch podcast. Prepare to be captivated as we embark on a thrilling journey into the realm of spirituality with our remarkable team of a distinctive energy mixture. Leading the way is Mitch Garlington, a gifted gay male witch, touring stage medium, and psychic tarot card reader. With a background in the competitive corporate world and experience as a Cher impersonator, Mitch brings a fresh and unique perspective to our discussions. Next, we have Lucy Locke, a former fundamentalist Christian missionary turned sex shop manager turned professional dog groomer turned psychic medium, trance channeler, and tarot card reader. Her incredible transformation into the spiritual world is truly inspiring. And last, but certainly not least, we have Carly Batten, a second-generation practicing pagan, intuitive oracle card reader, and spiritual mother to many. Carly brings a grounded approach and simple understanding to the complexities of spiritual living. Together, we form an unstoppable podcast as we delve into all things spiritual and the journey of life. Our mission is crystal clear: to spread the message that spirit embraces all and that each of us is on a spiritual path, whether we realize it or not. So buckle up and get ready for an exhilarating adventure with the Never Cross a Witch Bitch podcast. Please note that all ideas discussed and presented in this podcast are the personal opinions of the individual podcasters and do not necessarily reflect the views of each other or the viewers. Oh, I didn't do my 1, 2, 3, 4. Anyway, hello, everyone. Welcome to episode number, this has got to be 25 now, right?
25.
That's why we waited a couple
my
weeks.
age.
That's why we waited a couple weeks. We wanted to be a banger. Yeah, it's my age.
My age.
Double. Yeah, so we were discussing what we're going to talk about beforehand. Oh, welcome. I'm Lucy.
Hello.
If you haven't watched me before,
I'm Mitch. I'm Mitch.
And I'm Carly. Hello, everybody.
This is Never Cross a Witch Bitch podcast, and today we're going to talk about spells.
No.
And what a spell is, and different types of spell work that we do, and the purpose of spells.
Oh, sounds good to me.
I'm just making up what we're going to talk about. I know we're talking about.
Yeah, we always wing it, grin it, and wing it, and whatever gets thrown in the pot on the way, isn't it? Really? Or should I say the cauldron?
The cauldron, yeah. And then I think we're going to talk a little bit about each of our own spirit guides and who they are in our lives, and different ones that we have, and what they do, and how we met them, and so on and so forth. So it's going to be an interesting one, I think. I think it's one that people have been gearing up for and asking us about, and we've kind of went on different tangents. So we're going to try to stay on the track, but we can't promise that.
No, we're not staying on any. We don't stick to it. We go off down all rabbit holes. It's like the M25.
Yeah, exactly. I'm the M25 congested. Nothing flows through quite the way I want it. What was I going to say? We were talking about what are spells.
Yes, what are spells? What do you think spells are, Mitch?
Let's just get the foundation of what the spells are.
What's a spell, Mitch? Every time.
Let's go for it, Mitch.
Well, a spell is whatever you want it to be. I always feel like a spell is a type of manifestation, or it's a mind over matter situation. It is trying to sort of create a change in your life. And I think the other thing, when you do any form of spell work, you have to first of all kind of really go into the essence of, can this be worked or changed with a spell? Because some things can't actually happen through magic, or it's not advisable to use magic on a situation.
Can you give us a what for?
Well, like for love, for instance, it really we're going to go on to one now. It really pisses me off. Big time pisses me off when you get people that want a love spell to make somebody or a particular target fall in love with that person. Because yes, potentially you could do magic in that way, but that to me is almost like, it's like a type of spiritual rape almost. Why would you want to...
It is spiritual abuse, because
forcing a hand, isn't it?
Yeah, people are
forcing a hand.
Yeah. And that's one of the things as a practicing witch, that's one of the things that comes in a lot. Like, can you make this person fall back in love with me or whatever? And also, why would you want somebody to be in your life that's based on magic? You'd want that person to be with you through proper love or purity, not because a spell is forcing that connection.
Yeah, or why would you want to be with someone that doesn't want to be with you?
Exactly. It just
Like right now.
it's one of
So, you know.
it's one of the like the number one things like that I get asked to perform, and it does annoy me. And I sort of have told people I can do a love spell to empower your own love of self,
Mm-hmm.
because if you can sort of find that value and that love for yourself, you will then naturally bring somebody into your life.
Mm, mm, mm,
But
I
yeah,
agree. Yeah.
but
mm,
because a lot of the time these people that are wanting that type of magic, they actually have no worth, or they have no
mm,
awareness of who they are. And how can you give the best to somebody else if you're not actually giving the best to you in the first
mm,
place?
They're almost saying like I don't have control over my life. Someone else has control over my life. It's like they're not looking at themselves as part of spirit, part of the
Mm,
universe, that
mm,
their energy has a say in
mm,
everything and that they have free will. So it's almost like, well, can you let like I see that a lot even in other religions and stuff like that where they're praying and asking a god or spirit or whatever, please bring this. And I do that. I sometimes let the energy out of me, but it's just to let it out of me. But the reality is I have a say,
mm,
right?
mm,
So if let's say I want a job and I'm like, oh, please bring a job, please bring a job. And I'm not looking for a job. Like maybe some miracle I run into someone and they go, oh, I've got a job going. But the reality is I've got to put my energy
yeah.
into it. Does that
mm,
make
mm,
sense? And
Yeah, your energy is part of the ingredient of what makes the spell up.
exactly,
mm,
exactly. And so you see a lot of people where they don't realize they have that's that low self-worth, that um emotional immaturity. And I don't mean that in a derogatory way, okay? It just
Mm,
is what it is. That they don't realize, and I was like that for years, where I
mm,
didn't realize the power that I have in my own life,
mm,
yeah.
that everyone else had it or some other being had it. And
mm,
you do have the power, and that's part of the spell is getting that energy and that intention, like as Carly's got written it, it's in your attention. It's the intention, setting out the intention of what you want, getting really in grasp, in tune with what you want inside, and then setting that intention, and then working with the energy flowing through you with
mm,
that intention.
mm.
Yeah, definitely. Like with me, when I do sort of most of my spell work, I'm like a really lazy witch, so I like quick magic, you know.
Yeah,
So like candles are a good one
and
for me
me.
because I can visualize quite well. So I can sort of, put my intention into the candle, subscribe it in. Sometimes I use a blend of candle and tarot magic. So I might pick out tarot cards that represent the situation of what I want to unfold, spend some time meditating and really giving myself permission that is happened and almost as if it's already come to be.
Hmm.
And I think that's another thing where people go wrong. They do all of this sort of work with setting the intention and everything else. And then afterwards, they put that, oh, I hope that's worked. And you've already blocked what you've been sort of working on.
Mm,
Hmm.
mm,
Because if you're
mm,
not giving yourself permission to receive, it's not going to happen, is it? It's not going to come
Hmm.
good.
Hmm.
mm, mm.
And
Absolutely. It's
sometimes
like
it's receiving in ways that you don't real being open to the receiving of
mm,
Yeah.
ways that you're not expecting. Because I've had that with money. I did recently a money spell, and the way that I was like, I did some, it was for manifestation. I did some tarot and some candles because Colin, ooh, that was a Freudian slip. Mitch recommended. Mitch recommended I do some tarot with it because I was like, I need to push this energy. And I thought it was going to come through some workshops that I was doing, and I ended up having to cancel these workshops. And the money came in very different forms. In and it was what I was asking for. Does that
Mm.
make sense? But it
mm.
didn't come in the
In the
way.
way you thought it was
You
Yeah,
going
were
to.
it came
expecting it.
so
Yeah.
selling a car and this and that and little bits and that where I was like, thank you. And I had to receive it that way. And I also had to thank, not had to, I don't have to ever do anything, but I thanked Spirit for it. But I think if I didn't have that, if I only had it set that this is how it's going to come in, I would have maybe blocked it or
Mm,
Yeah.
missed an opportunity of really seeing Spirit work in my
mm,
life.
It's almost like once you've done the spell, you kind of have to forget about it a little bit in a way.
Hmm.
And I think some people get so focused on like topping it up daily, and you
Oh,
can do
I can
that,
be
but
like that, a bit obsessive, where I have to just learn to let go, and that's my part of my journey in this life.
Yeah, because I feel like, once whoever you're kind of working with, or maybe you're just working with your own magic or whatever, but once the universe has picked that kind of request up, it's almost like handing over to them and let them sort of align it all up for you, really.
Yeah. Yeah. But like when you do your spells, you don't stop advertising. You put
Mm.
out. Do you know what I'm saying? You put out and put your advertising, then you let that go. Does that make
Yeah.
sense? And go, okay, I'm going to let that go. And whoever's meant to see that will see that, and whatever. But you still use your avenues,
Mm.
but you need to put your energy, put the energy that's flowing through that spell out there,
Yeah,
you know?
definitely. Well, it's like with Isle of Wight. So I'm doing the Isle of Wight show next week in the Trinity Theatre. That's just a cheeky little plug. Tickets are still available, but but that hasn't been the best seller so far. It could change. There's still time that it could suddenly sell out. I don't know, but at the moment, it's just going ahead. But I did a spell a couple of weeks ago to sort of make or break the situation, and so it tipped it over to just enough that I can
Yeah.
do the show. So I'm not rich from it, but I've got 20 people as an audience. I've got enough people to make a reasonably lovely night, with spirit.
You'll have
So
more. I feel like at last minute, there'll be some last minute. You still got a couple weeks to go. Does that make
yeah,
sense? So I
yeah,
think, yeah.
Saturday 28th, but
Yeah.
we'll
And
see.
some people don't realize what their finances are until like last minute. And they go, okay, I've got the money to go, or I've got that time available to go. And then they buy and they go, fuck it, why not? You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
And that will happen for you, Mitch. I have no doubt about it. I've
Well,
seen it happen to you in the couple of years I've known you. How many times have I seen where you're like, ooh, I don't know if this show's going to go forward. And then boom, it's like, and I'm like, did you do some magic? And you're like, yes, I did. And it's like, oh, we lost the bugger.
Oh.
He's like, I'm out of here.
What did you say to upset him?
Yeah, exactly. I think it was the sex sounds I made earlier when his neighbor knocked on the door. We'll see.
That was
I'm going to pause it. I'm going to pause it and then see if he comes on and then we can continue. You don't mind? Oh, like we'll just pause the recording.
Yeah, no, that's
Yeah.
cool.
And we're back.
Sorry,
There we
what
go.
happened
No,
there.
I don't. You just went off for a break, really. You got fed up with Lucy chatting to you. You was like,
Yeah,
oh, bugger this, I'm
exactly.
off.
No, my
Because I
phone
called
went
him
dead.
Colin. That's why. The Freudian slip. He's like, this has gone too far.
No, not at all. You can call me Colin. I don't mind role play.
Oh, I love it.
I
Yeah,
forgot what I
so
was saying there.
we all know we all completely had a middle-aged moment there. But what were we saying? Should we start again?
Magic. So,
No,
Isle of Wight, Saturday,
yeah, Isle of
28th of
Wight,
July.
Saturday. Yeah, shameless plug.
It'll be a lovely trip too, though.
It will,
Oh,
and I'm
like
a firm
pretty cool.
believer. I am a firm believer in the people that are meant to be there are meant to be there. So if it's only meant to be 20 people, that's actually how the night's meant to be.
Yeah.
So, but
And
from a
I think
business,
the reason why you've tipped the balance is because there's somebody there that needs a message. So that's why you're being sent in that direction, and the balance is slightly tipped to enable you to go. Otherwise, I mean, I know you've been in situations when you've gone, it's not going to work, and you've had to unfortunately stop it, haven't you? So there's obviously somebody out there in the Isle of Wight who needs something currently at this moment in time.
And sometimes spirit blocks things because they need to be blocked and you don't realize till the future. So like I set up a workshop that I was going to do on the 28th and 29th of June, right? And I was like plugging it out there, plugging out there. I had one person mess me about a little bit with, saying they were going to do it and then they didn't, and stuff like that. And then I just got no one. And I thought immediately, I think I should just cancel this. I just felt it in my gut. And then I had family issues, stuff happening where I don't think I would be able to give my full, well, I haven't even been able to prep really for this workshop. So I look at it and then Spirit also said to me, I was charging too much. And the reality is I'm going to plug myself. I'm going to put it back out in September and I'm really making it quite inexpensive because for me, it's not about the money. It's about getting this out there and helping people and for it to spread. Does that make sense? So for me, it's like, yes, I need that energy exchange because there will be work that I'm doing. Oh, we lost him again.
He keeps doing this, isn't he? How rude!
He is every time. I think
every time you start talking.
Petra's giving me the finger right now through that picture of Mitch Garlington. There he is.
Oh,
I don't know what's going on with my phone today. Now I can hardly hear you. Are you guys? Oh, hang on. What's happening?
We're here.
No, we're still here.
Oh, that's better.
You know what? It's all these Isle of Wight that we're talking about. He's just selling tickets. It's just like ding, 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 ding.
No, it's not. Bloody, my phone just went onto a random text message from bloody builder. Have I left my jumper there? No, piss off. Oh.
What, did someone
excuse to
text
come
you
back?
the wrong message?
No, we had a build around at the weekend and it was bloody hot, so he wasn't even in a jumper, so I don't know what he's chatting about. But like,
he just wants to hang out.
So I said any excuse. I said any excuse.
Oh dear, one of those days today.
It is. So you're going to postpone your course till September?
Yeah, and I'm like, but it happened for a reason. And at the time, I was frustrated. But Spirit is teaching me, and that's part of my life lesson. And I know it through my astrology and stuff. Is like the day-to-day spirituality and like not getting frustrated, really trusting. Does that make sense? And trusting that even when things don't work out the way I'm thinking in my mind, I want them to work out, that there is that plan there. And there's reasons why. I would be really upset if I had 5 people doing this thing in a couple weeks with everything that's going on in my life right now. Does that make sense? That I would be, I would feel like, oh, I'm not able to give I would feel the pressure. I know I would show up. Does that make sense? Because that's the type of person I am, but I would feel the pressure inside of me of will I be able to give?
I'm not delivering how I should be delivering.
How I want to. Does that make sense? And so, and so that I think that was a gift from Spirit. Do you know what I'm saying? Knowing that other stuff was going on in the background that I hadn't been aware of yet, and now I'm aware of, and I'm like, okay, I can keep my.
But, I mean, it does.
There.
Spirit does that when we're recording the podcast. I mean, I know we've missed a few episodes, but there's reasons why, these things happen. And most of the time, well, actually, majority of the time, when one of us has gone, we can't do it, the other 2 of us have had something on, or we're really busy, or we feel off kilter, and then we're not fully putting in.
We're feeling relieved, aren't we? Like,
we're not. It's not that we don't want to do this for people. It's just the fact that obviously. Muggly people. It's just that sometimes, it's just that sometimes, obviously, if we're not firing on all cylinders, it becomes really hard because we're holding space for whoever's listening to this at that moment in time. So someone's having a hard day and they go, oh, we're going to listen to, them crazy 3 chat about whatever they're randomly chatting about. And we're, dragging our feet. That's going to make the situation even worse. So we're really, 3 of us are really aware, and we're creating our own intention, spell, manifestation moment as we come together and work together. That's, you could, depending on, so yeah, I mean, Spirit has the most amazing way of going. Actually, I mean, unfortunately, ends up giving you and Lucy the shits most of the time. It always ends up being a problem.
We have loose bowels. What can I say?
And loosen the caboose. We eat well. That's why. When we like our spicy food.
When we go to heaven, we will know that we have dined well in this lifetime.
Yeah, exactly. Just a part of nature's saying you did well.
Yeah, you did well. You did well.
What was I going to say? I like in my counseling, I do a lot of I have been adding a lot of, if the person's aware of, we have the same kind of belief system, I'll call it spell work. But I use spell work to help with them letting go of things or gaining that control in their life where they feel like they don't have control. Does that make sense? And then gaining that control and the intention of what they want to see happen. Yeah. So I do one particular one is a hoodoo one that I learned, where you write the person's name down 5 times and their birth date, if you have their birth date, and then you push the paper away from you. So you turn it to the left, getting the energy going away from you. And then you write down what you want to see happen but you write it, you have to put with love and you have to feel the intention. So if it's someone that you
Mm,
want their energy to leave your life or not to be so much in your life, you put down for their, for them to, the energy to be broken, the cords to be broken or cut or phased out with
mm,
love. Because lots of people struggle with doing that kind of thing or cutting cords or doing that kind of spell work. But you could actually be doing the other person a big favor without them knowing it,
mm,
Yeah.
mm,
because if there's clash of energy, does that make sense? No one's happy in that. No one's feeling the relief in that. And that person that maybe is causing that in your life might not realize the relief until it's broken.
mm,
Does that make sense? And
I had to do that recently with a customer, with a client, and I
mm,
told like Lucy sort of helped me with it. We did a collaboration sort of spell piece really. And I think this client actually listens to the stuff. So it's not like about being harsh to this person, but this person was expecting too much from my services and not actually kind of owning their own energy. So my
mm,
readings were actually becoming detrimental because they were trying to live by every word and every pocket of peace that I was saying. And so, I sent a really lovely response back and I said, I'm really sorry, but for your own safety and actually for your own empowerment, this can no longer happen. And after I'd sent the emails, I also did my own little private ritual just to clear the energy and to sever the
mm,
kind of the bonds. So that person is kind of unhooked from me because sometimes people hook into us without them even fully knowing they're doing it.
mhm.
mm, mm,
But
And
you
it's
relieve them of that energy and they'll feel a relief in their life because the reality is their soul doesn't want to be hooked into your soul.
mm,
exactly.
Yeah.
It's not, for me to, it's not fair for me to walk for that person.
Yeah.
And,
mm,
it just annoyed me because that person, they kind of came to me saying nothing has happened in this last reading. Yet they wanted another reading with me. And I just thought, no, like Spirit was saying really quite matter of fact in my ear, no, this person no longer deserves your magic. They have to now find their own.
Mm.
And that might sound really harsh and really sort of awful that I did that, but it was done through love because otherwise I'm just holding that person back. I'm just actually giving that person false hope, aren't I, really?
mm,
Yeah.
mm,
Yeah. Mm.
And they probably won't like me for it and they might not like hearing this, but it's the reality of the situation.
It'll be one of
Uh,
those things that years from now they'll look back and go, oh, that makes sense now. But at the
yeah,
time it might sting. Does that make sense? Sting a little
mm,
bit.
definitely.
Mm.
And I think that's the thing as kind of witches and spiritualists, we have to keep our work real. And I think when people see that side and see that we have that boundary and that acceptance for ourselves, they're quite shocked, they're quite surprised when sometimes we do slam the brake on something.
mm,
Yeah.
mm. But
Yeah.
you can use the spell work for doing that, and obviously, cut those cord. We've spoken about cutting cords and things before, and releasing people to enable to release you. But you can also, we were talking about earlier on about the love spell, weren't you? How
Mm,
pisses Mitch off that people. There's one thing I wanted to say about that is sometimes people got to realize that if they pay into that. I know you don't agree with it, Mitch, and quite rightly so, but there are people in this world that offer that service, and unfortunately, people do pay into that. They can actually, the person that's paid into that, asking somebody to do them a love spell, it will only be short term. So that person that they want to attract may only come back for a day, 2 weeks, but they're not going to be able to hold on to them. So
Mm.
you're going to end up getting more hurt because you're going to latch in and hook on, and then it's not going to work, is it? It's then going to fizzle out. So
I just feel like saying have a bit of self-respect. Like,
yeah, yeah. But I think it's a confidence thing, isn't it? I think sometimes people buy into having that confidence. And like you say, I think they've got to look into themselves. Um,
and some
and
people, they're so not desperate in a harsh way, but some people are so wanting to have that
yeah,
other person. But
yeah,
I think it depends where you are with life. I mean, for me, I love obviously Paul, but if we were to separate or part ways, I would equally be just as happy living an independent life because I wouldn't have another partner after him. Um,
no.
or I certainly wouldn't go looking for anything, put it that way. Um,
Mm,
and a lot of people, they're not at peace with themselves, I've noticed, when they're asking for that type of contract.
mm.
Well,
So
yeah,
magic.
like too, why are you needing a partner? Right?
Mm,
So there's different reasons, and
Mm.
sometimes it is part of your life journey to learn to love yourself, and that would be that you don't have a partner for a while
exactly.
Mm.
so that you can focus on yourself, you know?
Mm.
And then some people want a certain person because that might make them look good to people on the outside, that
Mm,
they have a good looking woman or a good looking man, you know, and that's why they want that particular person that is a little bit, maybe, I don't want to say out of their league, but maybe it's a mismatch. Do you know what I'm saying? And it's just
Mm.
not, it's I don't agree. I'm like you, Mitch. I don't agree with that at all.
No,
I
no.
could see if you're ready, like let's say you did the work, right? You've done the work and you're like, I've been single for years. I'm ready to meet someone, right? And you did a little candle magic and stuff like that to let that, like, you're opening
I,
yourself up to the universe going, I'm ready to receive love. But you're not going, I want Ryan
But you're
Gosling. And can you
you're
you
not
make
forcing the issue to
yeah,
a
yeah.
can you
certain
do a spell
person.
that Ryan Gosling divorces his wife and leaves his kids and moves
Mm.
here to England, and I meet Ryan Gosling and he falls madly in love with, like
Mm.
it's not gonna freaking happen. Well, maybe no, it's
No.
not.
When
Like
he sees Mitch and his eye turns.
exactly. It's not going to happen. And I was talking to this with a client the other day, you know, um, that struggles finding a partner because they want the butterflies.
Oh, well,
Working
that
on
dies,
canvas
doesn't
here.
it? That
You know
that
what?
does
And I
die.
said, you know what? That's actually really bad. And they were like, okay, well, why? And I'm like, that's your body letting you know that that's anxiety, and that's actually your nervous system saying that that's not the right person for you.
Mm.
When your nervous system feels totally calm and relaxed with a person, that's the right person for you.
Yeah.
When it's absolutely boring inside of you, you can, and but you feel so like you could be naked in front of them, and you're not going to be nervous. You're going to be like, does that make sense? Like it's not. People get anxiety and excitement mixed up.
Yeah.
Mm.
And the reality is, when your nervous system's so calm with the person, it feels like home. That's the person. That is the person. And it might not be that you're ripping your clothes off right then and there, or it might be that you take your clothes off and you feel totally comfortable with the person. And you're like, I know I'm accepted for every ounce of me. You
Mm.
know, that's the right person, not these,
Mm.
you know, and I used to chase the butterflies.
Mm. That's also adrenaline thing though, isn't it? And a
Mhm.
that and um a buzz. Sounds
Yeah.
weird because at the time you don't think
The
that's what it
dopamine fix.
is.
Yeah.
It's
The
Yeah,
dopamine.
dopamine.
the
Yeah.
Yeah.
excitement, the moment fix, that whole feeling like you're swept off your feet fix. I
Yeah.
mean, but as we all know that doesn't continue, but it
That
takes.
dies very fast.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh God, same old
Yeah.
cock
The
and
first time they
balls.
fart in front of you, you're like, oh, for fuck's sake, here we go. It's downhill now.
And
Yeah.
then something switches and it all changes again. The
Yeah.
thing is, with a good relationships, is there's always something else to learn, isn't there? There is always something else that builds on something that makes you open your eyes up and go, oh, yeah, I forgot that bit.
Yeah. Like Colin feels like home to me. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
That's how, and
yeah.
I've not had that in a relationship where I know no matter what, we're going to stick by each other's,
Mm,
he pisses me off and I know I piss him off, but there's that comfort level and that knowing we're just going to work through this life together, and you just feel it. When
mm.
I've had other relationships where it's like, so that, and I was addicted to the up and down because I thought that's what, well, I knew
That's
it
what it's
wasn't
all
right, but
about.
then at the
Mm,
same time, I thought that's what it is for me,
mm,
or that low self-worth.
mm.
But anyway, we're way off target. But yeah,
Yeah.
that's talking about the love spells. I see that on the witches' sites and all that kind of stuff. Anyone need
Yeah.
a love
But
spell?
I think, do you know what? I
I feel
really
like say
think.
like the open love spell is fine because
Yeah.
it's not, you're giving yourself permission to receive, but it's when, like you say, it's targeting. It's the same way I mean, we've talked about it before with hexes and things, when sometimes people are wanting to seek revenge. For me, that's pointless magic. Why would you waste your energy and your
Mm,
resources on that? But
Mm,
so many people are so hell-bent on creating chaos for somebody else.
mm.
yeah.
I personally think, before you start any spell work, we're talking about obviously open things. I personally think you should um learn to do spell work for yourself, and that's not
Mm.
manifesting love or anything. I think I'd say that's calling in. Some people call it grounding. We were saying earlier on off camera and things about the word spell, depending on how you follow or who you follow, what path you're on. It's either, if you're a light worker, it'd be manifestation, it would be affirmations, it would, witches and pagans, it's spell work. Whatever it is, it's all on the same, it's labeled different, but it's all the same mindset and the same intention, setting your intention. I think if you're thinking about doing spell work, the best place to start, if you're working on a pagan path, me being the pagan spiritual mother to many, I definitely think you need to learn how to make the magic around you work and call in that energy to enhance you. So the moon, the elements, the earth, because that's part of grounding. So if you learn, or we were spoken about the grounding and that type of thing. So if you um teach yourself, and you can teach yourself, you can get guidelines and things from everybody else, and what does everybody else do. But what I do and what Mitch does, that's bad English, what Mitch do, that's what Mitch does. What do Mitch do? So like Mitch do this and I do that. So oh dear.
Ding, ding, ding,
Would
ding,
not,
ding,
like ding, 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 ding. I live in the Shire, I does. So it could, it'd be completely and utterly different from somebody else, to how they're feeling. So I think seeking that magic and bringing in the spell work for yourself, or a manifestation or an affirmation for yourself on a full moon or a new moon, or when the wind's blowing, or when the rain's falling, or when you're sat in the grass and the birds are twittering. I think, and in bringing in that energy, learning to feel that energy coming in will really help you enhance or start to work with like Mitch's manifestation of where to put that energy.
mm.
Because I think sometimes when you're starting, I know when I've started spell work, and it's really simple, because actually when you think about it, it's like wishing on a star, isn't it? I mean, I remember a little girl wishing on the brightest star, or blowing a dandelion clock, the dandelion clocks, and you catch a fairy, which is like
Done
the
that a few
seed.
times.
Yeah. Not that type of fairy.
Sorry.
I did imagine you as a little kid going, I got one. And then I realized, oh, what do you meant?
No, no, not that type of fairy. Bigger hands for that. Anyway, right.
Paul's
So
a
you
real manly fairy, isn't he?
that would be a fairy, not like that. Um, but the seed pods that always get called a fairy, and you whisper them to them. As a kid, you'd whisper into them your wish and then let them go. And you've got to remember, as an adult, we tend to, when you start working a little bit more spiritually, you tend to forget that energy that you took as a kid, which was very undiluted, and the energy you put in. And I think when you restart spell work, I've found anyway, to restart my spell work, I've had to remember how to connect, how to pull in, how to enhance that energy to empower myself in everyday life. That's not putting it anywhere, that's just calling in the elements, feeling it around me, enhancing myself and empowering myself before you then take that energy and put it into anything else. And I think that's really important, because if you're not filling up your cup, if you're not pulling that in, and then you haven't got anything there to put into it. So your spell work is going to be half-hearted. It's going to be, your intention is going to be it's a bit like having a candle and going, I'm going to blow you out. and the thing does that.
Well,
You know,
you're on an awesome path there. It also builds up your self-worth when
mm,
you realize that you have this power. Does that make sense? When you realize, like neuroscientists are coming out. I've watched quite a few interviews in the last few days, believe it or not, and they're saying that the brain doesn't know reality from fiction.
Mm.
Okay. So when you visualize, you can visualize bad, and bad will end up happening where
mm, mm,
they're saying where intention goes, energy is going to follow. And I used to not be one of these people that were like, manifesting, you think, only think good thoughts and blah, blah, blah. Like, I'm very real. We do have bad thoughts, or thoughts that are lower
mm,
vibration. We have bad days. Does that make sense? And I allow people and I allow myself to have bad days. I
mm,
don't think that's going to ruin your whole entire life and you have to be in this like toxic positivity. But the reality is that if you're feeling like your life's shit, that's not the universe punishing you.
Mm.
mm,
That's your intention. That is your, so it's like, how do we get this self-worth up? That you start
mm,
to, because when you start to see yourself in a different light, your whole perception of reality changes around you.
mm,
Even
mm,
if nothing's really changed, you
mm,
just see it in a totally different light.
It's like
mm,
when people say to me, "Oh, that there's no such thing as different sort of realms or dimensions." Well, we're all living a different realm or
Yeah,
dimension. We're all
mm,
collaborating in the same energy, but we're all having our own different dimension or experience. So it's happening now, isn't it?
yeah,
mm,
yeah.
mm,
And so when Mitch is saying he can envision what he wants, right? And what he and put it in his mind, he's actually doing a neuroscience thing
mm,
Mm.
where
But
where
I don't do it if I'm feeling like it's interesting you're saying about, what's your own mood like? Because if I'm
yeah,
feeling a bit low or a bit, not in a great place, probably I wouldn't do any
yeah,
spell work then because
mm,
I know it could go wrong or it could backfire or I just might not get the results that I want.
yeah, yeah.
mm,
But you can even do simply sitting in the power,
Yeah.
right? And that's a form of spell work and you just
mm,
sit there and you feel your power. Does that make sense? You learn to feel your inner strength, and it's there. It's there.
mm,
But it's
mm,
calming the nervous system down. It's calming everything down so that you can feel the essence of who you are outside of
mm,
what your brain and your um what's the word I want to use? Like what you think the world is telling you about yourself.
mm,
Yeah. It's interesting when Carly was saying about like nature and stuff, because sometimes if I go along like a beach or something, some of the best sort of magic is to use, nature's temple, what's around. And I'll often grab like a pebble or a stone or whatever, and sometimes I'll just hold that and send anything heavy or negative or anything I'm struggling with, I'll send it into the pebble and then I'll just throw
Mm,
it into the sea when I'm done.
mm,
And that is a
mm,
really good spell. It's a very simple spell, but it's a form of magic of just releasing that crap.
and
mm,
see, that's
mm,
your own, you just made that up, like what you felt like doing. And
mm,
that's what spell work is. You do not
mm.
have to follow someone else's ways of being. You,
No.
Exactly.
the best awesome thing is getting in touch with what makes you feel alive and what makes you go, oh, I really love doing this. That
Mm,
really releases me and doing it. And that's part of the creativity and the curiosity of doing it is that, yeah, like I did, like I was saying to the universe this a few weeks ago, I'm like, oh, I really want a hagstone. I don't have a hagstone, right? And I was looking online to buy a hagstone because I was just like not thinking. And
I've got tons of the
yeah,
buggers.
well, then I was
You
in my
want a
back garden. I was
hagstone?
in my back garden, and I went, oh my God! And I bent
There's a
down, and there was a
hagstone.
hagstone sitting there, and I've never found
Yay.
one out in the wilderness, in my wilderness of my back garden. And I was like, I have to scrub it up and stuff. It's a bit dirty, but yeah, it's there, And
Best
I was
thing ever
like,
being
and
dirty.
I just thought, what awesomeness of that? Just saying to the universe, I want a hagstone,
yeah.
Mm,
and there you go. Like it, it doesn't have to be. I find that spell work, the more elaborated it is, it's more getting the energy flowing for you. Does that make sense? Than what spirit is expecting. It's sometimes it's the blockages in you, and spell work is a way of removing those blockages in you and going, I'm going to really try to manifest this. Then you could turn into me where I get obsessed about it if it's something I really, and I learned that one the hard way when I was manifesting this house where it became too much. Does that make sense? And then I started getting frustrated and I was giving too much of my energy to it instead of being balanced and tempered with my energy of trusting that it would be out there. I got anxious and this and that. And actually, it was when I let go that this house appeared, where I was like, fuck it, if we don't move, we don't move. You know, and then
And
this
I
house
think
appeared.
sometimes it's getting a happy medium, isn't it? I said
Yeah.
that the whole this true thing, there's that true thing saying of happy medium.
But that's Sagittarius. Me and you are
Yeah,
Sagittarius. That's one of our
yeah. We
purposes.
want
That's our
something
card.
now.
It's our
Yeah,
card is temperance. In the
yeah.
tarot, the Sagittarian card is temperance. And that card actually makes me angry because that's like patience, you know, that kind of thing. Because we're the opposite of that. We're fire. We want
We
that
want it
air.
now.
We want the
Want it
air
now,
blowing on us.
yesterday. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And
To
that's
get us
the thing.
going. Yeah.
But you know, it's that. I forgot what I was going to say.
Sorry,
But
Carly.
it's I don't know. Oh, sod it. I don't know where I was. I lost my thought pattern completely. Bugger it. Go on to something else.
You
I
were on
think
about
of
happy medium.
oh, get a happy. That's it. Oh, I know where I'm going. Yeah. So we're talking about a happy medium. So it's sometimes it's that whole saying of not trying too hard, isn't it? It's when you try too hard, it blocks, like you're saying, it sort of puts too much of a blocker. I think, do you know what? I think sometimes I've just got this, I've just been fed this thing. So, like, you know, like you've got like do you remember the Play-Doh,
Yeah. The
you
hair
put the
shop.
Play-Doh in, yeah, but the bit where you make the long sausage and you put it
Yeah.
in a, and it comes out the other way. This is what I'm being shown. So, like, you put in the energy, and if you go slow and steady, you get a great big long sausage, really slow and steady. But if you try and ram it through the hole too quick, it all blocks up and stops it.
Yeah.
I think that's the trying too hard. That's how I can explain it.
And who doesn't love a long sausage?
I thought you were going to say Play-Doh. I'm very disappointed.
Oh dear.
I thought you were going to say Play-Doh, Mitch. Oh, bloody hellfire. Anyway.
You're making me feel hungry now. But
It's not that type of show.
because I love a fry up. That's what I meant.
Oh, of course, yes. Sorry, yeah. Sorry, it's not.
That's your mind, not mine, girl.
No, you started it. We're talking about sausages. I was talking about Play-Doh. I don't know where you were going. Anyway.
What I was going to say, what's your thoughts about those types of witches out there that say real witches can't love if they can't hex? Because there's that sort of whole thing as well, isn't there?
Crap.
Mm.
Just absolute, sorry, bullshit. My hackles have probably gone boom, like that.
I thought they would. I thought they would. Because it's something you hear, and you know, I don't like the sort of the term baby witches, but for a lot of like you know, younger witches or new witches on the scene or coming into their own or whatever, they get really bombarded with all of this stuff of like, oh, we must be able to hex and harm as well. And I just think
bollocks.
You know what? I really think that gives us a bad name. Because right away people are like, oh, you're a witch. And they think that. They get scared. They think that you're going to be like, if they wrong you, that you're going to be like collecting their semen in their, secret and like doing something horrible to them. And it's the opposite. It's the opposite. For me, it's like that would be more of a cord cutting with love. Does that make sense? If I don't want the person in my life or they've caused me problems, I'll do a cord cutting with love because the reality is they've already put the energy out there. I think that the universe, I've seen it. I've seen it loads in my life. And it's one thing that I'm actually quite confident in this world is I've seen people really fuck me over. And I'm not a vengeful person, believe it or not. And I've seen not nice things happen to their lives.
Yeah.
You know, and all I've done is just step back and I've actually not wished them any harm at all. And it's actually made me sad. Does that make sense too? Because I'm like, oh, that's pretty fucking awful. I wouldn't want that on my worst enemy, kind of, you know, as you say. And yeah, so I believe that they're already putting that energy out there and that lesson will be learned.
Mm.
Because you
Yeah.
see it a lot at the moment on like Instagram and TikTok videos and stuff of like, hexes and this and that. And I just think, is that really what we're meant to be educating people with?
No. I mean, and again, hackles, especially the baby witch. I had a Wizard of Oz moment. I hate that terminology. I understand people have to have terminology, but it's one thing. I haven't had it for a while, but when it started to become, trendy, being a witch started to become trendy, there was a lot of people that were refinding their path. And I kept saying to them, you're not a baby witch, you're refinding your path. And they would come to the store and they'd go, I'm trying to find my way. I'm a baby witch. And I'd go, ugh. Don't say that, because in a way they're sort of,
Like
they're
downgrading
put
themselves.
they yeah, that's what I
Yeah,
was trying to say. They're downgrading themselves because they have the ability. That's why they're going back to it.
back to
That's
the
why they're
roots. Yeah.
refinding it. They have that ability. There's something in them. There's something in them pulling them towards it. They've done it before. They're not if they come up to me and gone, this is my baby, it's a month old, it's a baby witch, you go, yeah, okay, I understand that concept. Perfect. But they're not. They're just regaining, and it drives me mad. So I haven't had it for a while, but I just think everybody has that ability to influence and set the intention of negative energy. Let's use the word hex, rabbit ears, for those that are just listening. So everybody has that ability. Even the muggles in the muggles world have that ability to hex someone, or push bad intention in someone's direction, or set a negative attitude for themselves. You can hex yourself. We're talking about putting
Oh,
negative
100%.
energy
I think we
into
hex
your
ourselves
day.
more often than
Yeah,
we
yeah,
hex
yeah.
other people.
When
Oh,
you have a
fuck.
negative, you're going around the whole day going, oh, I'm just dropping everything. Well, you'll spend the rest of the day dropping everything. I did it last week. Everything I freaking picked up, I fucking dropped. The amount of stuff I dropped a whole stack of bowls. I pulled a bowl out of a cupboard and they smashed on the floor. I went, oh, that's going to be one of them fucking days. And it was. For the rest of the day, it was. But I'd hexed myself. You know,
Mm.
it doesn't make me a better witch, just makes me fucking clumsy. But it's just do you know what I mean? So you can tell I'm really pissed off, can't you? But it just drives me mad because everybody has that ability to put in that negative energy or create that thing. Doesn't
Mhm.
make you, I think it makes you, I'm gonna have my head chopped off for this. Hey ho, burn me, I don't care.
That's a
So
hex.
yeah, there you go. I'm gonna win the lottery for this.
Exactly. Exactly.
I'm gonna win the lottery for this. So I just personally think it doesn't make you a better witch. We're here to I think it makes you worse if
Mm.
you're going to turn around and start hexing, because it doesn't run true to where the intention originally comes from. Now, as we've spoken before, witch is a bloody label. I like we're healers. We're the village cunning people. We are the herbalists. We are the midwives. We are funeral directors. We're everything in that. Everything we set out to do under our label that we now give ourselves is with good intention and to help people. And you're going to have the people that come along and go, oh, if you can do this, you're not a witch if you can't hex people. No, we have the ability to, everybody has the ability to hex somebody. We just choose to like people and don't wish to harm them. Why do we want to harm somebody? In their right mind, who's going to, like Mitch says, completely, and you say, Lucy, completely agree. Why? Just because that person has maybe done you a dirty, we have all been on the, oh, you really irritate me. I wish something, you'd drop a brick on your foot or something. Probably a little bit more than that sometimes. But where's that going to get you? That's not going to get you anywhere as a person. It might make you feel a little bit like to start with. But at the end of the day, oh, that was a proper chuckle. At the end of the day, it's not going to gain you anything. not going to gain you anything. It's not going to gain that person anything. They might get a sore big toe, but what's it going to do? But I mean, you're probably not even.
I think for some people it's a power thing. Does that make
They
sense?
just love that control, don't
they
they?
like the
Yeah.
control and the power. And like I've heard people that are into hexing talking about the balance of like the high vibration, low vibration, that we got to be realistic, that we have
Understand
all
that.
this going on
Yeah.
inside of us. And there's a part of me that goes, yes, that's very healthy and that's actually really true.
Yep.
But what do we do with that low vibration, right? And that's where I'm like, I just don't have the calling in my life to hex people.
Yeah.
I'm more like, okay, if that emotion is in me, I think the universe can handle that emotion. I do. And so I'm going to let it go. Does that make sense? I'm
Mm,
going to let
mm,
it go out of me so that it's not holding. So maybe hexing is a form of letting that go, but they're wishing again, you're going into a deeper lower vibration by wishing harm
mm.
or wanting
I
harm on someone.
yeah.
And I just think it's kind of a spiral. We were talking about this earlier because you believe like in the karma thing of three. And I do
Mm,
believe that like the more you put out there negative, the more it's going to come back to you like a
mm.
magnet. So, and
Like
I'm
crushing
not
my
one of these
balls.
positive manifestation people. I'm not, but I do believe that we have a responsibility with what we do
Mm,
with the negative inside of us, right? And so,
mm,
or with the lower vibration, whatever you want to call it inside of us. And there's ways to let it go. And
Mm.
there's
mm,
ways
mm,
where it feels good to let it go. Does that make sense? Where it's a release. You're looking at it, you're acknowledging it, and you breathe it out through breath work and all that. But yeah, I just feel like
mm,
the person will, the universe is good and always
mm,
good.
mm,
And whatever happens to that person will be for their best
mm,
too, but
mm,
it might be more of a not nice thing. And
mm,
I've seen it happen where
mm.
they've
I
got
mean,
their
I think,
lessons to learn in their
yeah.
life. And it's letting people go and just living their life. Does that make sense? Okay, they've done the
Mm,
dirty, they've pissed me off. Yes, you have every right to be angry. And sometimes that anger stays for a long time. Sometimes that anger is layers. Like I have people in my life where they've really hurt me and it's layers. Like I'm all right for a while and then I get triggered again. And I think, oh, I
mm.
haven't healed this. And I have, but it's layers. And I just got to do more letting go. But maybe it's just the way I am and the sign I was born under and all the planets, but I just have no vengeance inside of me.
Mm,
Like I don't want to see negative things happen to those people. I just want the fucking energy out of my life.
mm,
If that
mm.
makes sense that
And
they've
it actually makes you,
caused
but
me.
holding hexes or working with that low vibrational
I think
energy,
it's
the
holding
one
that person in
makes you
more.
sick.
Yeah,
It makes you sick, the
and I think
person
it's actually
projecting.
claiming that person's energy more in your life. You're like holding on to the negative of that.
Mm,
It's almost like poisoning yourself with trying
mm,
to poison them.
mm,
But
mm.
I could be wrong. I've never hexed anyone, so I don't know
No.
what's all involved in it. So I
Mm,
could be wrong. It could be some beautiful thing but I
mm.
don't think it is. I think it's going
I think,
lower.
yeah, I think the beautiful thing is the power trip, the butterflies again. We were talking, sorry, I just poked my microphone, but that it's that butterflies thing again, isn't it? That's the power trip, as I say, I'm probably going to get hung for that as well. I think that's the adrenaline rush that you get from having that power over somebody or putting that negative energy into that power. But if you're storing that, you're creating yourself to be poorly because I mean,
I
we've all
agree
been
with
there.
you. I agree with
We've
you.
all been at that
Yeah.
lower vibrational. We all know we probably feel a bit crap and and things, but we've plateaued. I think it's a heck, to hex someone, you have to bring that in and make it like a laser beam.
Yeah.
So it's actually harder to do that. Sorry, I didn't mean to point, but there you go. But do you know what I mean? It's harder to bring it in and laser beam a hex than it is to spell work and go out. So when you do spell work, the energy is outwards and everything. It's that Teletubby belly thing, isn't it? It's bigger. It's a bigger door opening. It's like putting on a torchlight. And when you hex, it's so narrow and so narrow-minded and so laser pointed. It's like sitting under a sniper. When you get a sniper laser and it's directed on you,
Yeah.
that's where the energy goes when you're hexing. And that in itself should show, not that I've ever done it, but that's what I feel it is. And everybody's different. And that in itself shows what a difference. You can spread so much more happiness and help with that torchlight going on. Look how much further it goes than working with that sniper, that's that single beam of light that's directed directly on that person or directly on that situation. It's just really unhealthy, isn't it?
When I see people talking about that they do hexes and these people that are, I get a sense, just my energy field gets a sense of low self-worth. And that they're going the opposite way. It's like this narcissistic, I've got this power and I can use it. Does that make sense? And I've got all these demons or whatever they're bringing along with them.
Yeah.
I've got different ones behind me. Does that make sense? But she represents to me my power to stand up and use my voice. Does that make sense? And to put boundaries and stuff like that. But some people would use her as like a hexing. And I don't use her as does that make sense? She represents to me my power of using my voice to ward off, to put boundaries up, to protect myself, that I have that power in me to do that. But like when I see people that are into hexes and stuff like that, I get a very narcissistic, like it's a power trip of don't fucking mess with me. When you meet those thuggy, drunky people, do you know what I'm saying? They're like, don't mess with me. That's the kind of feeling I get from these witches that are like that. There's a lot of bitterness there, a lot of anger, a lot of like abuse in their background. And they think this is the way of retribution for all of that. When that just lowers that vibration and it makes it all mucky. You're playing with mud puddles instead of playing with beautiful, like
For me, like the best form of revenge, if someone has to go, I don't hex them. I literally just like remove them from my life, and it's like you don't get to have access to my world anymore. And they might huff and puff, they might not like it, but for me, that is the safest boundary and safest protection for me to do. But also, it's that energetic middle finger up to that person without causing them direct harm.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's exactly where I'm at. Like, put the boundaries up. Nope, my energy's cut off from you. And then they'll realize what your energy, and they may never admit it in this lifetime to you, but they know inside what they're missing.
I mean, it's slightly concerning, when you've got you've got people on social media level, says us on social media, but people on social media level that and there's a lot of people out there. We've got sort of like the fourth or fifth wave, I think, since I've been traveling my spiritual path, definitely over the last 25 years or so. I think we're on about the fifth wave now, because it seems to go in blocks of 4 years, and then we have a fifth wave, or 5 years, 4 or 5 years, and then we have a wave of people coming again. And then this wave of people, we've got a new wave, but the new people that are regaining their path this time aren't Pac-Manning, which is really cool. They're actually thinking before they're following, rather than going around going, oh, well, this person said this on TikTok, or this person said that on TikTok. They're actually thinking, which is really nice. But it's very concerning, talking on a social media platform. Everybody has free choice. Everybody has free will. And even people listening to our podcasts or readings with you guys, you always say you have free will. What we say is not, it's not set in stone. It's done. No, exactly. But the concerning thing is when you get people, like you've had clients, Mitch, where people hang on every word, and you will get people hanging on every word on those people on TikTok and those people on Instagram, saying you must be able to do this. You've got to hex. No, because that's not where it should start. It should start sitting in a field, sitting on a beach, sitting in your garden, sitting in your bedroom. You haven't got a garden, sit in your bedroom, wherever you've got the sun coming in. That's where it starts. That's where the empowerment of you starts, not whether or not you can make somebody drop a brick on their foot or something. And that is, it's concerning. It is concerning and worrying that people are implanting that idea that you are not a proper witch if you cannot hex. That's awful.
For me, like witchcraft is actually about like living in gratitude and like kind of like really being blessed with the air that we breathe, the earth that we're sitting on, and just really taking everything back to its bare bone basics.
Well,
I mean, I'm not
shared with me while you were talking, Carly, and then even reaffirmed it there, Mitch, when you were talking about in essence, when we're hurting other people, we're hurting ourselves because
mm,
we're all from the same energy source. Do you know what
Mm.
I'm saying? We're just in different bodies that have different DNA expressing that energy source, but we are all
mm,
from that energy
mm,
source.
mm,
So the reality is that we can piss each other off and there's rights to say, nope, no contact. Does that make sense? And I'm going to cut that the way you're expressing yourself through your DNA and your life path to me. I'm not having that in my life, and that's all right. But the reality is to go out of your way to hurt people, you're actually just hurting yourself because we are from the same
mm,
source playing a role
mm,
in this life
mm,
and
mm.
this journey,
Mm.
you
I mean,
know?
I'm not denying, we're not denying that it, it is gonna, it does happen, and there are the negative energies out there, whichever way, however way you portray them. It's not, it'd be lovely if I could see in the world, my yogurt weaving world, if the whole world could love each other, and it's never going to happen. I have days when
I
I
don't know
sit
about
there
that. We're
and
coming into the age of Aquarius. It's not going to maybe happen in our lifetime, but it will.
no,
There's going to be, I
yeah,
think that's the purpose of this evolution is to
mm,
work out all these stories. Does that make sense?
yeah,
And it's incredible in the last 100 years. Oh, like even just so many things, science, psychology, spiritualism,
mm,
all these different things, all working ways out that we're really beginning to understand ourselves a lot more. Does that make
mm,
sense than we did a
mm,
hundred years ago,
mm,
and understanding each other. Some
mm,
people choose not to understand each other, and that's
mm.
that's their path right
Well,
now.
it's just, yeah,
Yeah,
it's just what they're doing at this moment in time, isn't it? To
yeah,
be fair,
yeah. And I'm
you know,
realistic. It pisses me off. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, I have a great bitchy moan a lot, and I've told that in this podcast many times, but I think that is healthy. I think we need that. And we need that, psh, that steam outlet,
Mm.
that
yeah,
geyser. Because if we kept it all in, you're going to end up like me with an autoimmune disease. Does that make sense? And
mm, mm,
you're like not realizing that, that anger is going to go somewhere. And it's
mm,
Yeah, shedding is good. Shedding is neat.
yeah. Ugh.
yeah, yeah. As long as it causes no harm to none.
Yeah, like you can do
So,
where you go, hey, write down like what's his name? Oh, brother, not I think it was Abraham Lincoln. Right after he passed away, they found diaries and diaries, and they say he was one of the nicest guys. Like whenever he met people, he was really polite, really lovely to people, and that wasn't fake. That's who he was. But he also had realized the negative side to himself, and he had
mm,
diaries and diaries of going on about the shit people caused him and how much he didn't like this person and that person and just moments in time. He might have liked them later on, but he was very honest in his diary about what was going on. And I have no problem with people like going, I fucking hate that person because that's how you feel right now, and that's okay. Does that make
mm.
sense? But we don't have to lay a hex and go to extra work. But you can write
No,
it down and let's burn it. Write it on some toilet paper and let's flush it. Does that make
mm,
sense? Let's do some
mm,
rituals to get rid of that anger, to get
mm,
rid of that bitterness inside. But and I have no problem with the client going, I fucking wanted to kill him when he did that. You know what I'm saying? I say, good for you. Let's do it. Let's go there.
mm,
And in a safe container, we can put that energy in the earth and the universe can handle that energy. They
mm,
can, and they handle it
mm,
with love. You don't have to be toxic positive, but you don't
mm,
have to go out of your way to try to ruin that person's life
mm.
through hexes or
I
whatever.
like I like this. That's the second time you've said that, saying toxic positive. When you
Oh, I
first
see it
said it,
all the
I was like,
time.
oh,
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's
we were talking about this
an
the other day.
Yeah.
interesting. Yeah, that's
And
an
I have
interesting. But
another one
I
is
like
toxic
it.
empathy. Toxic empathy, where people that
Okay.
are empaths and are unhealed empaths don't have the boundaries.
Yeah,
Like I put up a video, and like I want to thank
it's
people for
fake
getting to me. I said it was.
positivity.
I had this video I put up, and I was surprised how many views it got. But it was like it's a shitty day, and I wrote kind of this poem type speech about it being a shitty day.
Yeah.
I got all these people going, "Oh, Lucy, if you do this and that," and like they're trying to counsel me. And the purpose, if they listened to the whole thing, was you rise up. It's all
Mm,
right to admit you're having a shitty day. It's
Mm.
mm.
all right to go there. It didn't mean my life was in absolute ruins. And so I
You
got
were
all
just
these like
expressing it.
unhealed empaths, and I
Mm,
mean loads of them going, "Oh, Lucy, you poor thing," and almost putting me down. Like I
Mm,
was like I see no problem with suffering. We all suffer. That
mm,
doesn't mean you're less than. That I got this feeling like, oh, I can be a little bit higher than Lucy. And that's not what the purpose of it was.
mm,
And you had that
mm,
too about something you put up.
Yeah, I did
And then
that
it was
video with
like,
the power
so
of
I,
saying no, and
yeah.
it was a similar message. I had people saying, "Oh, please don't stop doing your work because of this, that extra." And what I find is a
Like,
lot of
that's not
people,
what that was about. You know what I'm saying?
yes,
Yeah.
exactly. And I am finding, and I'm going to put it out there as you've mentioned it, like there's quite a lot of people saying, "Please don't stop doing the work because you're a great medium," but it is actually because they don't want me to stop because I'm their link to the spirit world. It's nothing to do with me as a medium. They don't want me to stop for their own benefit. And
How
it's
freeing
like,
that must be for you to realize that now, though, or
yeah, and it's
realize
like,
that, you know, because
mm,
exactly.
that takes a lot of pressure off you. That they're responsible for their link to the spirit
Exactly. And if
world.
I
Yeah.
chose to stop, I'll be really honest. If I came into some money, I would stop my mediumship overnight. And it's not because I don't not love my connection with the spirit world. I would still have my connection with the spirit world.
you
But
just do it when you want to.
I wouldn't do half the stuff I'm doing now. I'm just being honest,
Yeah.
I would live because
You
I
just
would
do
think,
do it
okay,
when you want to do it.
yeah, I'd be like, okay, Spirit's given me this money. I'm going to live my ability best life in a different way. And I love the work I do for Spirit, but it's hard work. It can be tiring. It can be quite draining. And it's not Spirit, it's the people
Mm,
Mm, mm,
because
mm.
they have so many expectations or, well, it's expectations. So a lot of the
mm,
time when people are saying, oh, please don't stop, you're such a good medium, it's not actually even recognizing me. It's because they don't want that to stop for their needs.
Well, it's like
mm,
with the client when you say like, you know, oh, I think you should try another tarot reader or something for a while. Do you know what I'm saying? We need to just have that energetic break, and they're like, oh no, you're the only one I trust, right? And it's that pressure of like,
Yeah,
yeah, and it's like, no, your journey is your journey. Like it,
exactly.
like, and that's what mediumship and tarot reading and all the work that we do is pointing to. Look who loves you. Look who wants a relationship with you. Look, you can
Exactly.
still talk to them on the other side. You
mm,
can still have that relationship. Look, there's something beyond this earthly plane. And they don't
mm,
get it. They cling on to the person and they're
Mm,
like, you're going to give it to me. And it's like, again, that dopamine hit still stuck very much. For when I had my first mediumship read, it blew my fucking mind. Like, I was like, oh my God, it's real. There is my grandma and grandpa. My ancestors are still around me.
mm.
Like, and they're, it had nothing to do with the person. I've never gone back to that person for a reading.
mm. Which is
But
healthy. That's healthy, I
yeah, and
think.
what it did
Mm,
was stir me on to go deeper and to have my own walk.
Yeah.
mm,
And I love my connections and my clients. I don't want
Yeah.
people like listening to this to think, oh God, he doesn't want us to work
No,
with
no, no,
him.
no, no.
But
But I
it,
say to people, come every 6 months to a year. But some people, it's like
mm,
yeah, they
when
just
the
want it
energy
on
doesn't
the top.
settle. Yeah, when the energy
Yeah.
doesn't settle, the energy needs to settle. Yeah,
mm,
that's what I'm. No, I say there's getting healthy readings. Does that make sense? Like
Yeah, I mean,
mm,
I did a lady reading the other day, and she was in a really good space, and it was actually really refreshing to not have loads of problems and to not have loads of crap. And like her dad came through, and he was just really acknowledging like the winning cycle that she was now on, because she was sort of like, I really wish that he could have been physically here when this had happened, but he came in so sort of strong, really celebrating, look at where you are, and it almost allowed her to just really settle in that knowledge of like she's in a good space and she can be in that good space. Spirit wants
yeah,
us in that good space.
yeah,
It's,
mm.
but so many people you talk to, they're not. They're in a trauma or they're in a self-created trauma a lot of the time, and it's complicated.
yeah,
Mm,
yeah,
mm. I'm wondering if sort of we're talking about it, and we're talking about obviously spells and starting your spell work and getting in touch with the nature side of getting in touch with yourself. It's almost as though I think sometimes when people latch on to mediums and readers, sometimes you need to sort of point them in the direction of a course for them to be able to start to find themselves again, rather than latching on to this, having readings and things. They need to find themselves. We need, there's a course for you, Lucy. We need to point them all in a direction where they can have a course where they can start to unpick themselves.
Well, I want to do that. I want to start a circle, but not like so much of it like a psychic circle. I want to do it where there's a bit of that going on, but we're also working on our self-worth at the same time.
Yeah,
and our connection to earth and our connection to like our chakra systems and all that stuff. But then also we're doing a bit of work with each other and speaking good words into each other's lives and lifting each other up. But at the same time, really working on self, because when you work on self, your intuition becomes alive. It really does. Like it really does, even more and more and more. And then you get to see how much spirit loves each person and how much and it's, it's like, that's why I say I know it's not me, because I don't have that type of love inside of me lots of times for people. Do you know what I'm saying? And so when I feel it and I start getting weepy and spirit's there and I start getting weepy, which happens to me with clients sometimes, it's 100% spirit, because that's not how I typically am with people. You know what I'm saying? I know when, but yeah, sorry, what was I going to say? A lot of times I recommend people, when I'm doing tarot reads, it comes up loads of, you need to join a circle. You need to join something where you're getting that input, that your intuition is becoming more live, because tarot reading should show you what you already know. Right? And so it just makes you go, oh my God, thank you. Wow. I'm on the right path. Like you said, with the one that you read for, that they were in a good place. It's the same with counseling. Counselors, we're dealing with crisis all the time, right? And like, you can't give someone tools in their life when they're in the middle of drowning. You have to get them out of the drowning, right? But if they came to us in a good spot, boy, oh boy, we could start giving the tools and showing them how to prevent themselves from getting into those crisis situations. Into those, like, I'm not saying every crisis situation is a client's fault, okay? But there is trauma that happens to us, but then there's trauma that we're part of the energy field of it happening. Does that make sense? And so when you're getting into complex family issues and stuff like that, we all, not as a child, I'm not talking a child, so please no one say, but as adults and stuff like that, we all have our role that we're playing, and it's picking that apart. And when you're in a good place, it's easier to hand someone. When they're in a good place, it's easier to give them the tools and go, and they can start seeing things in the perspective of being healthy. But when you're not in a healthy spot, it's really hard. You're having to get them to the healthy spot, and then you just even get them to the healthy spot, but you haven't handed them the tools yet. They go, okay, thank you. And then they stop. They don't think they need counseling anymore. And it's like, the reality is like, when you get to the healthy spot, that's when the good stuff really starts happening in counseling. But people, I would say probably 95 to 99% give up. Then they go, yeah, thank you. You helped me. I feel better. And you're like, okay. And you have to let them go when you're like, you haven't got the tools yet. I've just gotten you out of the water.
It's going to be a crash and burn situation in most cases.
Yeah. And it's sad, but you have to, then that's that letting go. That's why I call myself, like, I use a lighthouse as my thing, that when people are out there, they know I'm here. Right? And they can come to the shore and I'll help them. But I have to let them go too. Does that make sense? When they want to go?
Exactly. It's like when
I would never tell a client you're not ready. I would never. That would be unethical. Does that make sense? But inside, I know sometimes I'm like, it's not time yet.
Yeah, definitely. So when I'm doing readings, whether it be spirit or kind of tarot, I'll always hold that space and try to make that person feel as empowered as possible. But then once that session is done, we have to then sort of reclaim back the energy and sort of pull back. And I think that's what people don't like, because you've sometimes made them feel empowered in those moments, or spirit have allowed for the empowerment. they don't want to release because they've never felt that themselves, because they've not allowed themselves permission. And that's where the witchcraft can come in. They can actually start to form that bond with themselves, understanding their deepest identity, and they can have that for themselves, you know?
And with spirit,
To
let's get
take that
into
energy.
like that's another part of it. Is a big part of my self-worth was getting in tune with who my spirit team is. And I know I
Exactly.
don't know them all because when they come around me and I see it every time in my mind's eye, they're like wings. They all kind of blur into a set of wings. And there's a couple that are right there and I know their face. Do you know what I'm saying? I know their essence. But I know that there's others that I don't know who even they are, but there's a mass around me that I
Mm,
know there's a team that has specific jobs for each thing they do in my life,
Mm,
um,
definitely.
and help me. And so I know they've shown me over and over. I don't know how to explain it, but as I've healed more and more, they've been a part of my healing of that unconditional love
Mm,
that I never received or didn't understand or didn't get when I was a child that I came into this world. They've been a huge part of that. I'm not saying I need to be separate from people, but it's they're my go-to for that unconditional love.
mm,
I close my eyes, calm my nervous system, and I can call
mm,
upon them and I can feel their love because they've shown it to me through meditations, through
mm,
spending that time where they've actually really flooded my body with unconditional love that I know that they're there
mm,
anytime I
mm.
need them, and then I had to get over the guilt of feeling like I was using them. Does that make sense? Am I calling on them too much, or am I relying on them too much? But they've shown me they work with me. Does that make
mm.
sense? And that our
Mm,
energy's connected,
mm,
and
Yeah,
that,
they're an extension of you in a sense,
yeah,
aren't they, really?
mm.
yeah, yeah, exactly. An
I think that's
extension.
one thing and I think we've all been through the whole I can't ask for help, can't ask my spirit guides because otherwise they're going to think I'm taking the piss. The thing is, they're like you say, an extension of you, whether or not they're your guides or your higher conscious or whatever they are, but they're there to help work with you. So they're never going to turn around and go, do you know what? Can't be asked today, or I done you a favour last week, so I can't be asked this week, or I'm really busy, I'm going to go and watch the football. They'll never turn around and say that to you. They'll always be there. And I think one thing sort of that was making me think, I remember when I first started sort of regaining my feet, I remember going through my head, going, everyone's talking about spirit guides, everyone's talking about this spirit team and who my guides are. And I'm like, I have no chuffing idea. And I think sometimes I don't think you sometimes need to know. I think as long as you know you feel something, it doesn't necessarily have to feel a person, or you don't necessarily have to have that vision in your mind's eye or see that person. As long as you can feel somebody around you. It's not always necessarily you won't feel a hand on your back, but when you ask for the universe or whatever, and you feel something, an energy force coming in, that is one of your team. Whether you get, up to a point where you can meditate to see that member of the team, or you can feel what you have a set connection with eras, or I mean, then we go on to past lives and things like that, and time spans, and you know, but I think everybody's got a support crew, but it's not, if you haven't seen them, it doesn't matter.
No, I
So
No,
don't
if
think it
people
matters, but
haven't
I like
seen,
seeing
yeah,
mine, I must say.
yeah. You like seeing yours.
I
Some
do.
people some people are in a position like can easily meditate and they can see them, or they've been in a state. I'm very
I don't
lucky to say
always see them, but I feel
you
them.
don't,
There's
yeah,
one
feel
particular
them.
one that really likes, I think that's to
Yeah,
help me in this lifetime feel that unconditional love. Does that make sense? That
yeah,
vast loveness of the universe that I
yeah,
feel him very
yeah.
regularly.
And
Um,
that unconditional love, how do you feel it? Do you feel warm? Do you feel
yeah,
completely whole
my
and
throat it
contented?
relaxes. There's like a feeling in my chest. Um, Sometimes I'll meditate and I expand my energy out, and I practice doing that, realizing that
Mm,
I can push my energy out into the
mm,
field, and then I feel his energy. So I've done this through trance, and I haven't done trance for a while, and I need to get back into it. I just feel it in my guts now. because my guide, he loves talking to people and telling like really deep things about themselves and how much they're loved. Does that make sense? Like he just doesn't he's a beautiful, beautiful man. And I think I need to get him out there more, but the world has a hard time with that kind of
Mm,
thing, you know? But when I expand and I bring him in, does that make sense? And we almost kind of like meld
mm,
together. Oh my God.
mm,
The love that he has,
mm,
it it makes me very, my body goes into tears, but they're good
mm,
tears. Does that make sense? Where it's like a freedom and just like, oh my God, I can't believe I can feel this,
mm,
and that this is real.
mm,
And yeah, I haven't seen all my guides, but like one guide we did in our circle. I haven't been to my circle for a while either. But the circle I was with Deb's Thai Duck, we did where we were going to meet our gatekeepers, right? And so I'd never met my gatekeeper. I was like, okay, let's do this. Let's go. And she took us into this deep meditation, and I saw this like goblin, okay? Like, and I was just like, and and then it was spirit because I really thought, oh no, your brain wants to go, nope. Does that make sense? And this, you've gone off the deep end. And then in the meditation, she goes, it might look like a goblin or a being from some other, place. And then I was like, so it settled in. And he was quite cool. He was really cool. He gave me the impression that he saw me like the Queen of England. He was like bowing in front of me and really like
mm.
enamored, and he showed me. I thought, oh well, you're in like a little suit of kind of armor. I did an AI drawing of him, and I think I showed Mitch him that time. The
Yeah,
green,
he looked
yeah,
like something from Labyrinth
yeah,
almost.
yeah, yeah.
Did
And
it?
like but he showed me how he
Lord
stands
of the
out in the
Rings.
peripheral. Does that make sense? And he
Yeah.
showed me the power he had. He had, and he was on it to protect me. And that really made me feel like, okay, I've got him watching over me. So I actually bring him into my counseling sessions without people knowing, but before the
Mm,
counseling session starts, I call upon their guides. Does that make sense? To come forward for them. I call upon my guides, and he's there, just making
mm,
sure that this protective dome, he's just right on the outskirts of
mm,
it, that nothing bothers us, that
mm.
nothing comes. And Spirit has shown me that when I've not asked for that, people's dogs are barking or the doorbell rings. Does that make sense? And
Yeah, yeah.
when I've asked for that, we've had a very smooth
Mm.
Session.
session, and things have been very intimate and they're really touched. So it doesn't have to be of human form.
No,
It
no.
doesn't have to be some ancestor that lived here. Mine shows myself, the main one shows himself as a native guide, but he actually showed me that beyond that, he's from somewhere else. That's just one of
Mm,
the lives he's lived here. And that un I understand that in my brain, so I can connect with him with that.
Mhm.
But if what he's originally, I can't connect with, so he comes in that form.
comes in that form. Yeah.
Hmm.
So you understand them.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's quite interesting. So
Just
is
to let
it,
you know, we're nearly on the witch hour, guys.
So what are
are
yours
we?
like, Mitch? Because you've never, I know you've got loads of,
Well, I've got Sweary Mary at the moment.
yeah.
So yeah, my main one for platform when I do my stage work is Mary. She's from the Titanic, and it's interesting because she swears like a trooper, and I suppose she's a cross between Joan Rivers mixed with Lily Savage, but she
Yeah.
gets the energy up, and she's also been really good for me because she's allowed me. When I was thinking about this the other day when I was young. A lot of people thought I was quite theatrical and quite dramatic. I don't know where they got that from, but they were almost like making it feel as like it was a bad thing. And she actually
Oh,
holds
yeah.
space of like when you're on stage, you can have fun, you can be a bit sweary, you can have that more dramatic, playful side. So she actually really allows me to indulge. Obviously, the messages are still coming from spirit, but she's almost there giving me permission and saying you're allowed to have this.
She's connecting with that side of you that's like that and giving, like you said, that connection.
Mm,
Same with my spirit guides. I feel like that's why I can accept them. They connect with something in me. Does that make sense? That speaks,
Yeah.
that allows that part of me that has not had permission to come forth. I totally agree with that, Mitch. That is an awesome way of putting it.
mm.
Yeah, definitely, and it's really cool because obviously, like she gives me that safe setting. We can have a bit of the theatrics, we can have a bit of fun, but it's all still getting the realness of those messages to the people, you know. And then I've got
So
another guide. Go on, what are you going to say?
how did you meet Sweary Mary?
Well, meditation. So I meditate
Oh,
quite a
okay.
lot, and sometimes new guides will just introduce themselves or will just come in. Because this is what I've noticed when I've done workshops. A lot of people, they want a guide, but they're not doing anything for a connection to happen. And it's a little bit like when you meet a new friend or you become a best friend with somebody, like how did that initially start? There had to be
Hmm.
a meeting point or a beginning introduction. And a lot of the time, people want the outcome, they want the spirit guide, but they haven't allowed for an introduction to happen.
Hmm.
So meditation for me is one of the easiest and the best ways. And you might not get anything straight away. Sometimes it'll be a process where you may have to keep revisiting. So I always say, like, the bench is a good sort of starting point. So visualize in your mind that you've created like a meeting point, a bench, or somewhere that you feel can be a safe space, and just see who shows up for you.
That's what I do with inner child work, the
That's
exact
cool.
same type of,
Yeah.
yeah. Hmm.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
and with this Swearing Mary, when she came in, it was really random because one day I was just in my meditation, I was actually just in a garden, and then she just appeared, and she's actually from the Titanic era, so she was kind of clothed in like the big sort of dress and with the big sort of bodice and everything else. And what was really interesting is a little, probably about 3 or 4 months later on, Deb's Ty Duck, who's also a spiritual artist,
My
she
circle leader. Yep.
yeah, she kind of she drew a spirit guide image for me, and it was Mary. And she said, "Oh, I feel this lady's called Mary. She's from America. She's from Titanic era." And she got all this information, and it validated what I'd already been shown. So it was nice because it wasn't that the image kind of put that seed in my mind. I already had the connection with Mary, so it kind of reaffirmed it.
That's
Hmm.
really cool because I like my spirit guide showed himself as an alien kind of like lizard person long time
Okay.
Hmm.
ago, right? And that was through Deb's Tied Up. We did a meditation and he showed himself to me and I was like, oh, whoa. He had a little collar on and little kind of like outfit. He was kind of like a lizard. Do you know what I'm saying? Like a lizard
Mm.
being. And I was at Carly's fair and Peter, oh, I want to call him Peter Paul, but it's Peter John, isn't it?
Yeah, Peter John.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he was sitting next to me and he said, "What do you think of this?" He goes, "I've never had something like this come through." He says, it's not for anyone specific, but I was just drawing it and it was him. It was him."
Oh.
And I was like, so that was like maybe a couple of weeks after we did that meditation. And it was really cool that he affirmed what I saw. Does that make sense? Was
Yeah.
real. It had the little collar and everything. It was so cool. Like, and yeah, that's the thing is you let go and just choose to believe, even how wacky it is. You don't have to tell the world about it. Does that make sense? Like I'm lucky I've got friends here that I can tell. Do you know what I'm saying? When stuff happens, and
Hmm.
a circle you can tell when things happen. And lots of times when you do tell in like circle, people free up and they go, "I had something similar," and they're but they were nervous that people would go cuckoo, or whatever. But I'll tell you, the universe will affirm it. If it's
Mm.
real, real, they will affirm it. They're not going to let you hang on the wind. But there's been some stuff where it's 20 years ago, and I've just let it be. Does that make sense? And let it
Hmm.
be. And then, like here, moving here, I didn't know that this part of Wales is actually from the Appalachian Mountains. Like the connection. I think I've told this story
Hmm.
already. And that was 20, 25 years ago where I really felt, and it was back in my Christian days, that I was going to be living in the Appalachian Mountains. And I thought, okay, however that's going to happen. And so I was thinking Tennessee, Kentucky, that kind of thing. I was going to be like living with the hillbillies of America kind of thing, and now I'm in the hillbillies of, well, no, I don't, Wales, no, it's lovely here. But I was at a New Year's party and someone said, "Oh, I've studied geology. And did you know that this is part of the Appalachian Mountains? It's all the same soil, minerals. We did the same type of mining. If you put the continents together before they split, it matches perfectly." And I was like, I didn't say anything then, like, "Oh my God, spirit showed me," 25 years ago. But I was like, wow, sitting in this, New Year's party. And then I went home and I was like, Colin, like, like it was, and it was just spirit affirming, like, you're
Yeah.
where we said you were going to be 25 years ago, and it's not the way you thought it was going to be.
Mm.
I had that
It's
the other
so
day. So
awesome.
when I did like the Blackburn theatre the other day, literally I was like sort of standing in the wings, and they had like the little screen, so they show you sort of like the stage, and you got like, the sound guy and everything. And I just had this overwhelming feeling of when like all those years ago that medium said you're going to be doing your own stage shows, and it would just hit me so hard, and I was like, bloody hell, like sort of thing. Because at the time I was like, I just can't see how that is going to happen. I can't see how I'm going to do proper theatres. And then I was in a proper theatre.
And I bet you there was many
Cool.
moments of frustration where you thought I should be here and I'm not here yet. Do you know what I'm saying? And
Yeah,
there's
and I
that
feel
journey that needs to go with it.
exactly. And Spirit is still saying to me, you've scratched the surface of what's
Yeah.
to come. So I know there's more. And the part of me is quite tired and is a bit like, oh, can I keep going? But there's another side of me that knows, of course you're going to keep going, sort of thing, you know?
Yeah, and like I've been plugging away at different things and plugging away and going, oh, this is not going anywhere. And I know my astrology chart really changes in February of next year, like for things to kind of like the energy to be really in my favor. And it's not been in my favor for a very long, long, long time. And so and that's been said through an astrologist, Beth James, and then
Oh, yeah.
other things, you know. And so but I have to still put the work in. Does that make sense?
Of
Because
course,
and
exactly.
I have no idea what spirit's bringing. I really don't. I've just seen people have said they've seen a stage and me on the stage. You know what I'm saying? Like the curtains open and I'm going, and it could be I'm not even seeing myself on a stage. It's more like me coming out and going, I don't give a fuck what anyone thinks about me anymore. Does that make sense? And really like putting myself out there because that's more the energy of what it is. It's like I don't care. But also, too, you know, I'm like, I'm not very good. What's been really coming to me is Spirit is saying in the next year, there's going to be different Facebook and there's going to be different social media platforms
Mm.
Mm.
that I'm going to shine through, not the Facebook, not the, does that make sense? And it's been, but Spirit has also always brought things, if I'm open, has brought things there where I go, okay, now it's time to step in. They don't let me miss a beat. They really don't. You know, when I think, oh, it's not happening, something happens, and then I know they really nudge me that this is my instincts go, this is where I step forward.
Mm.
This is where I step and do this, you know? Because I want to be like Mitch. I want to be working full time, doing my own not mediumship, but like I want to do my counseling and stuff like that. And I'm just
Yeah.
like, is this ever going to get off the ground? You know, like is this, you know, like it just and you can get easily frustrated, but two, there's things I've got to go through, got to learn. Does that make sense? I've got to, you know, it's, and I'm an instantaneous. I'm like the lazy
Mm.
witch. I want the now, you know, and I'm a Sagittarius.
Mm.
You know, I'm not good at doing groundwork. I'm not good at, like, Mitch can put out videos every day and he's very rhythmically or put out an advertisement. I'm hit and miss because I'm like, nah, you know, like, and other days I'm like on it. And then other days I'm like, nah. And that's my Sagittarian energy. Does that make sense? That is part of my chart. And I have to really work through it because I have not 1 ounce of earth in my chart.
Well, that's really interesting with the videos to say, because Spirit said to me when I did the videos, that's a commitment to the people. Almost, if you want the support, you have to
Yeah.
give that
And
commitment
I
back.
know that inside. And then I
Mm.
think, do the people want to hear me? And then I think, oh, if I don't get the views that I want, am I going to feel that feeling inside? And it's like letting go.
Yeah,
There's the higher self in me that says, let go of that shit, Lucy. But then
Mm.
there's the human Lucy. Does that make sense? That's like wants to lean on it for my self-worth.
yeah. When I put a video out there, like sometimes the hits are high, sometimes they're low, but I just think the people that need whatever that message
Yeah.
is will
Mm.
have that message, you know?
Yeah.
Mm.
Because I love
Mm.
doing videos, but it's that whole thing of, oh, does anyone want to hear? And I have to give not a fuck if
Yeah.
no one wants to hear.
Mm.
You know, then there's people that are out there every day, and I look and I'm like, oh, they've had 0 views. You know how it says like I'm like, they still keep doing it. And I'm like, kudos on you because I like I have to, and that's part of my journey is that in my chart is to learn in this lifetime where my self-worth comes from.
Mm.
Mm.
Right?
Mm.
And it's really cool when you learn your chart. Does that make sense? And you can actually see your weaknesses or what
Mm.
you're like needing to learn. And for me, yeah, my self-worth is not much there inside of me. Does that make sense? And we all have our things. I was talking to a client the other day. I'm really going off on their thing is anger, right? So when they feel like life is the first hit is they get really angry. And so they have to watch with rage and anger and how that manifests outside of themselves. So that's their lifetime journey kind of dealing with that. And mine, even though I talked to everyone about self-worth, the first thing hit for me, because that's my weakness, does that make sense? Is my self-worth, right? And so it's building, okay, I'm all right, right? And so we all have that thing that we have to, that's in our chart, and that's actually in my chart. And it's something I've dealt with my whole life, self-worth.
Interesting you say
Yeah.
that. My chart of vulnerability is crone energy, so it's often like women of a certain age that latch on quite a bit.
Oh, we're
That's
both sitting here.
Rude.
but no, there is this feeling though that there is a lot of beautiful
Rude.
things I've
I might
got, but
accidentally disappear now. Rude.
no, but there are like lots of like lovely kind of like connections I have, but there
Try
is
to
a group,
dig yourself out a hole,
no, there is a
darling.
group of
You're digging.
there are a group of other women that have gone in my past, not so much now, but in my past, certainly in my corporate days, they were all elder women or older women and power hungry and wanted to overrun my energy.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, so it is
And
interesting.
people could claim that here on this podcast that there's two women. That has been claimed by some
Yep.
people that overrun your energy in
Wow.
their crone years.
No comment to that on
No
that.
comment.
That might be a good place to end.
Sorry, we've gone way over time, haven't we?
We have, yes, we have.
Well, it's been a while, you guys, so
Oh.
that's why.
Well, that's
If you
cool.
want
That was
one, they
good
can
one.
catch up.
Perfect.
If we get it, well, we did say if we're going to hit them, we're going to hit them hard. So there you go.
Well, until next time, we will see
Until
you all
next time.
soon.
Yeah, lots of love and light out there.
Take care, guys.
Take care, you
Bye,
guys.
everybody.
Lots of love. Bye for now.